Hi, this is Jason McCarthy at Wycombe Wanderers, and you're listening to Wycombe Sound.
The Wycombe Wanderers Show.
Welcome to the latest edition of the Wycombe Wanderers Show, where we reflect on a bumper Easter period. Well, there's two games. Good Friday and Monday. Mixed results, of course, but we'll look back at them both with Phil with our double match debrief in a few moments' time. We'll hear from the manager, Matt Bloomfield, as well, get his thoughts after the home game against Forest Green. And we'll be hearing from him as well a little later on in the show, looking ahead to the trip to Morecambe. It's a long way. And we'll also hear his thoughts reflecting on the news today that Jason McCarthy has extended his contract at the club and will be with us next season. We'll hear from the man himself as well, talking all things Wycombe Wanderers and why he's staying. Not that we don't want him to, but why are you staying? No, more on that on the way as well. We'll preview this week's Knowing Me, Knowing Blues, which, if you haven't heard, is from Gareth McCleary. Some interesting clothing-related news there. We'll be turning back the clock 22 years, 8th of April 2001. I'm sure you remember where you were on that day, possibly Villa Park. We'll be hearing from Martyn Lee, who was certainly there on that day as well. Really looking forward to speaking to him. We'll hear from Wycombe Wanderers Women midfielder Bella Fulton, who plays for the reserves, and also, of course, we'll be catching up with another of our Wycombe Wanderers worldwide phenomenon fans, where Nigel chats to a not supporter, as I tried to suggest earlier, but fan, who is now based in Dubai. But first, our double match debrief from Phil on mixed news over the Easter weekend.
Well, a heavy defeat followed by a good bounce-back victory on the Monday. So season over on the Friday, back fighting on the Monday. That's football, isn't it, at this time of year? But Friday was always going to be tough. I don't think Wycombe played particularly well. I thought Ipswich did and continued their run. But yeah, I think the game plan, for Wycombe to come out of anything of that game, they'd have had to have defended impeccably for the 90 plus whatever it would have been. And look, we gave them a goal from a set piece, and from 1-0 down, it was always going to be hard.
And a great response, obviously, on Monday.
Perfect response, because obviously a lot of fans were down over the weekend after the manner of the defeat. But we finish Easter 3 points outside the top 6 with 5 games to go. And that sounds very familiar to me.
It could have been sort of much worse, obviously, but a really positive kind of 3 points is there's still so much to play for, really. Yeah,
look, and Forest Green, well, I thought, in times of the game, especially in that first half when they were pinging the ball out to the right with the wind behind them, looked dangerous for a side that are bottom, that have lost, now 27 games this season. It showed you that League One is a really tough division. They beat Sheffield Wednesday the other week. You can only beat who's put in front of you. Look, they were scrapping for their lives still. They've made it a lot harder for themselves now. But Wycombe did the job, beat who was in front of them. They've got to do it again on Saturday. After the game, it was good to speak to Matt Bloomfield after the victory.
Yeah, I think it was really important that we got back to winning ways. Obviously, Friday was a tough day. We were disappointed with the result, but we picked ourselves up. I asked the boys to pick themselves up coming into training. I wanted smiles on faces, a spring in their step, because we couldn't change the past. We had to look forward, and we had to affect today, and that's what they did. I was really pleased with the way yesterday's training was particularly intense. I could see a focus amongst the group, and I'm not surprised, because there's an incredible group of blokes in there who want to do well for this football club. So I'm really pleased with that, and chuffed with the result today.
And it translated to the game as well. 9 minutes in and 1-0 up, the perfect start.
Yeah, we started on the front foot, didn't we? We rolled them up before the game. We wanted the boys to come out of the traps quickly. We needed to show our intent from the first minute. We had to make sure that we showed the crowd and everyone watching that we were ready to go. And I thought the boys did that. Will's got in a couple of times down the right-hand side, and we're obviously really pleased that Chem got his goal early on.
Tricky conditions as well out there, strong wind. The rain didn't come that was forecast, but the wind had a big impact on this one too.
Yeah, it did. Affects, wind's probably the one weather condition that does really affect the game. With goalkeepers' distribution and passes being under hit or over hit, so we had to play with that as well. But like I say, it was more the attitude and the intensity that the boys played at that I was really pleased with. The camaraderie and team spirit's never in question, but you have to keep picking yourselves up when you have little bumps along the road and showing that, and I thought they did that today.
And more chaos from a left-footed in-swinging corner from Joe Jacobson.
Yeah, we've seen that for a number of years now, haven't we, Joe? I think his delivery has been so consistent for that number of years. It gives us a real opportunity to get goal-scoring opportunities. And I think with the first one, Chrissy obviously attacks it really well at the minute, and Wills has got a habit of getting across the front stick. I know it was an own goal, I think, but we work on that quite a bit, and luckily it come off for us today.
Other positives as well. Gareth McCleary, first time we've seen him for a number of games. A nice cameo at the end.
Yeah, most certainly so. We really wanted to get Gareth back on the pitch and get him moving again. A couple of weeks out, it was just waiting for that right opportunity, 20-30 minutes to go. And when it presented itself, I thought Chem did particularly well, but then he was just kind of running out of legs a little bit on the left-hand side. And, who better to bring on than GMAC to give you an outlet on that side. So I was really pleased with that. Get Gapey on the pitch again and Christy Ward as well. I thought Nick did really well when he came on as well, Nick Freeman. We needed that solidity in the middle of the park at that point, and he broke up play well and got on the ball and got us ticking. So, I was pleased with the subs. They all came on and contributed, and Taff as well.
We had Sam Vokes up on the gantry with us. He's champing at the bit to get back as well, and things are looking good from an injury point of view now.
Yeah, of course. We've been missing some big players for a few weeks, and we know they're big players for this football club, and the lads have been working extremely hard to get themselves back as fit as possible, as quickly as possible, and the lads have been the team, and we feel like we could have picked up a few points along the way in their absence, so we have to make sure that we welcome them back in a position that we're still fighting amongst it, and I think we certainly are. I
know what you're going to say, game by game, but is it 5 cup finals now?
Just one on Saturday. That's the only one that matters to us. I said to the boys, when someone said in the change room on Friday, 6 cup finals, it wasn't, it was one. Because if we didn't get the result today, then, you're falling away. So our only focus has to be on Saturday. It's a very boring answer, but it's the only one I live by. We have to prepare right, we have to recover right, and we have to make sure that we show the same intensity on Saturday that we did today.
And it's another congested schedule. We've had Friday, Monday. We've got Saturday, Tuesday coming up now, so there's no respite. No,
none at all. Yeah, so why we're in this game, it's to be involved at the right end of the table at this time of the season is why we do the job we do. I love this time of season, and we're still fighting, so we'll keep going.
But as you say, it really does set us up nicely for Saturday and a trip to Morecambe, who, obviously fighting for their lives.
Yeah, and their home form is good. They're mid-table when it comes to their home form. They've been abysmal on the road, which is why they're struggling. They've had their off-the-pitch issues as well, with ownership and salaries being paid late, etc. I think Derek Adams has done a really good job. He did fantastic to keep them up last season. And look, they're in with a shout of doing it again. The 0-0 against Pompey did us a favour, I think, although they were very unlucky not to win it, by all accounts. But yeah, they're 5 points adrift with 5 games to go, so they want to win. They have to win on Saturday against us. We need to win as well, so it's set up for a perfect cup game. It may be a really open game. It might be another high-scoring classic, and we've had a few of those down the years with Morecambe.
Because it could end up in a draw, I guess, but a point's not really any good for either side.
No, especially them. We'll have to see what happens elsewhere. Look, the pressure that Wycombe Wanderers are under to get in that top 6 is probably nowhere near as immense as it is for the clubs the size of Bolton, Peterborough, who have had their issues this week off the pitch as well. So Wycombe can go with this, with the experience of last season as well. And other teams will slip up. What Wycombe have to do is make sure they take advantage when they do. And I think the attitude of the manager and the players is spot on. Don't worry about anybody else. Just win the games. Look at the table afterwards and see where we're at.
That must be so key as well, and you touched on it, we've sort of been here before.
Yeah, it's just the likes of us to go and start sweating over the table as it stands, looking as goals as they go in. I'm up on the gantry, they're all coming from my laptop and my phone's buzzing throughout the game as people are telling me what's happening as well. And then you just got to remember, it doesn't really matter until Wycombe have got the 3 points on the pitch as well. And that's all they'll care about on Saturday. That's all I'll be caring about on Saturday as well, really, because, if Bolton lose, if Peterborough slip up, fantastic. But it only really matters if we've got the 3 points.
And I imagine multiple service station stop opportunities for you.
Well, this is the exciting part of the day, really. We can't guarantee wins or whatever, but what we can guarantee is a lot of mileage to be done on Saturday. Looking forward to some old successful haunts down the years. I'm talking about Norton Keynes. We're talking top-level services there. Fantastic. Can't wait.
Norton Keynes. Very much looking forward to the review of Norton Keynes on next week's show. Don't forget, of course, you can hear in full the chat with Matt Bloomfield and indeed Josh Scowen after the win on Monday on Wanderers TV. Next, though, we continue our series with Nigel, catching up with fans from the worldwide Wanderers phenomenon. This time he's been speaking to Karina, who's in Dubai.
I was 11 years old, and it was in May 1994, the Ensley League Division 3 playoff final, and we played Preston North End at Wembley.
So I've sort of alluded in the preamble to tonight about the fact that your following of Wycombe has actually got some really interesting connections along the way. So when you look at the final, what sort of connections to Wycombe are part of that final experience for you?
So I've met several friends along the way who were actually at the same game as myself, but supporting Preston North End. And one very important person, my husband, was actually at the game with his father in the Preston North End end. So that game keeps on cropping up many a times in my life through the associates I meet, but obviously supporting the other side.
Yeah, that I would imagine is quite ironic, really, and of course the other side of it as well, as a certain player was playing on the opposition that day as well, who went on to become pretty famous in the Wycombe Wanderers ranks.
Absolutely. Certain Gareth Ainsworth, now no longer with us, but yeah, a very, very influential Wycombe Wanderers character there.
That was great. So going on from there, what did you remember most about it? Did you meet any of the players, for instance, or what do you recall about the whole experience?
I remember as a really excited 11-year-old starting off at Wycombe train station actually, and being absolutely overwhelmed by the whole atmosphere in and around the train station, being bundled onto a train coach, couldn't sit down. Balloons everywhere. I remember that. I remember bugging my dad to buy me a T-shirt at the train station, popping it on the way through, being bundled along in a crowd from the train station at Wembley all the way up to the old Twin Towers as it was then, and also getting into the stadium pretty close to front row seats. And feeling that you were really part of it because although obviously we were at a huge stadium, the players were almost in touch with the seats that we had. Seeing the old players like Keith Scott, I remember Jason Cousins, and all of these players there at the back and feeling quite overwhelmed by the whole experience, but really, really excited.
So the next thing that we talked about previously was when you were 14, something happened to you around the club when you were 14. Can you recall that for us?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to be a mascot against Bristol City. A slightly older mascot, I'd say, but that was part parcel of having an embarrassing parent and putting myself forward, but had an absolutely fantastic day, had my friends around me. It was my birthday as well. Going out into the stadium with the players around you and just really growing up with Wycombe, I think the most exciting thing for me as a fan was the accessibility of the whole club, to the players, to all the different fans around, different staff at the club, and just having a real sense of belonging as well, which perhaps you don't always get if you support some of the bigger clubs.
When you were 16, you were sat with your dad, you said, and you came across something in the programme.
Yeah, I remember coming across an ad in the matchday programme for a university course that was taking place at what is now Bucks-New University, was Buckinghamshire Chiltern University College, and that was for a BA Honours degree in sports management and football studies, and that's something I really had a passion for. I was very, very sporty as a youngster anyway and played all sorts of sports, but also the chance to get into the administration side of the game, and I really had a passion for football. I was doing a coaching badge anyway away from that as part of something I was doing through my schooling, my A-levels, and just really captured my imagination and something I really wanted to do. Had a little bit of a battle with my teachers, told me I shouldn't be going away to do that sort of course, that I should be looking at physiotherapy, that sort of thing that I was really into. But sticking to my guns, applying for the course, going to interview and getting onto the course, and it then became quite an important part of my life and led me on to a 10-year career in professional football industry.
So how did you make that first step into the professional football industry after, I presume, was it during your university stay or was it afterwards?
It was during my university stay. So in my second year, we were lucky enough to have a number of lectures up at the club, and certain members of staff at the club lectured us on their experiences and certain parts and aspects of the football industry. And one of those people was Keith Allen. And I asked whether it'd be possible to get some unpaid work experience, and Keith was an absolute gem. Took me on a Friday, and I went and helped him Friday morning doing all sorts of jobs, and eventually that led to some paid work in the summer and a full-time position. And from there, then I went on to work for the Football Conference and for the Football League in Preston.
Wow, that seems to have been quite a career path for yourself. Going back to your time at Wycombe, can you recall your first major event that you got involved with?
Yeah, there were several events. One of them was a free game that we put on. And part of that was to attract the younger generation. So we were targeting the 7-year-olds, trying to entice them into supporting the club. And following that, when we had Chelsea here for a pre-season friendly years and years ago, and part of the preparations around that, getting the whole town involved, really.
So you mentioned earlier that you joined the Football Conference and then later went on to the FL. What roles did you actually perform while you were at those two institutions then, Karina?
So at the Football Conference, I was assistant to the general manager, and it was a really, really great experience into a whole host of the semi-professional game, if you like. And so I was working with the then TV company Setanta, working with a lot of our major sponsors, organising a lot of the playoff finals, so the one that we did at Wembley and the various low grounds within what was the Blue Square North and South and Premier at the time, and also got to work quite closely with Martyn Lee, who was the chairman, obviously a link to Wycombe. So down at the House of Lords, we had many a board meeting, and I'd attend those as well. So really, really great grounding across all sorts of the semi-pro football industry. Then was effectively tapped up by the Football League, and a lot of that was through the contacts I'd made at the Football Conference, and went on to be the events manager at the Football League. So responsible for the hosting and running of the then Carling Cup final at Wembley, Johnson's Paint Trophy final, and our Football League playoff finals at Wembley. And also I was lucky enough to host them at Old Trafford when the Champions League final took place at Wembley. So had a great experience across all sorts of football there. Attended many grounds for end of season presentations. Had a terrific time. That was really an absolute blast and a real honour to be able to see all sorts of professional football world through my job and through doing something I love.
Do you have any regret or things that you would have liked to have done when you were at the EFL, for instance?
Yeah, one of the biggest regrets I have is not being able to host Wycombe in a playoff final. They got very close when I worked there, and I remember meeting Keith Allen at one of our final meetings at Wembley, where we used to invite a lot of the clubs who were close to the playoffs at the end of the season in anticipation of them making the final, but they never actually made a final when I worked there. But I was lucky enough that my gem of a boss at the time, Dave Cookson at the Football League, we got on exceptionally well. And as soon as Wycombe did make the playoff final, he treated me like a queen for the day within the hospitality suite at Wembley. So I was lucky on that front, yeah.
Oh, that sounds absolutely terrific, and sounds like you had a good boss there in Davey. And finally, Karina, how do you engage with Wycombe now? You're obviously in Dubai, various hours ahead and all the rest of it. How do you keep in touch with what the club is doing? And do you have an opportunity to watch games, for instance?
I do. My husband and I pay quite significant sum every month to have beIN Sports on here. So that means that anytime Wycombe are on the TV, we managed to catch the live games, and that's obviously happened once or twice a season. I was able to watch all of the playoff games a couple of years back from here as well. I had my little girl cheering along. Still shouts for Wycombe getting to Wembley, so that's brilliant. Any opportunity I have with the children now at school, as I'm a teacher, I'm always dropping Wycombe Wanderers into it, keeping the Wycombe dream alive over here, and obviously keeping in touch with friends and family. And I have all the alerts on my phone for the latest scores, so I'm kept well informed over here.
That's great to hear. Once again, Karina, I'd really like to thank you for spending the time this evening to talk with us, and wish you all the best for the future, and hopefully we'll see you back at Adams Park very soon.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Still to come on this week's edition of the Wycombe Wanderers Show, we'll hear from manager Matt Bloomfield, new signing sort of Jason McCarthy, and find out how many sit-ups Gareth McCleary does. It's not as many as you might think. And we'll also catch up with Bella from Wycombe Wanderers Women as well. She plays in midfield for the reserves. We'll get the secrets to her success as well. But first, if you cast your mind back to the 8th of April 2001 and where you are, there's every likelihood that you'll probably have been at Villa Park watching Wycombe Wanderers against Liverpool in the semi-final. Someone else who was also there that day in not just a watching capacity is Martyn Lee, and I'm very pleased to say he joins us on the show. Hi, Martyn.
Hi, Colin. How are you?
Really good, thank you. Thank you so much for your time. It's brilliant to speak to you. It doesn't feel like 22 years ago, does it?
Oh, it's flown by. Yeah, it feels like yesterday still. The memories are still very firmly in my mind, and it seems like only a few years ago.
So what are your memories of the actual run itself? Because obviously there were those 10 games, and every game seemed to have a story, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we started off the run. I believe we were home to Harrow Borough, which was a tough draw. Non-league side trying to with the underdogs, and they were trying to cause an upset. We won 3-0, but it wasn't straightforward. And from there we got another difficult draw against Millwall, I believe, which went to a replay. So they were the first two games, and then on to Grimsby. Took them to a replay, and I remember the replay was back at their place on a Tuesday night. I remember the pitch being frozen, and I was lucky enough to play quite a big part in that game. We managed to win 3-1 that night. They were a championship side at the time. Then on to the sort of bigger games, if you'd like, of the run. We then had Wolves, I believe. Wolves at home, which was, again, another big championship team, and Andy Rammell scored our first goal that day. I remember it being a snowy winter's day, and him celebrating and jumping in the snow behind the goal after he scored, which there's quite a well-known picture somewhere of that. So beat Wolves. All these games were sellout at Adams Park. They were real great atmospheres. And then on to Wimbledon. It was the old Wimbledon then. We drew at Adams Park. Forgive me if this is wrong. I think Steve Brown scored a late equaliser, and took them to a replay back at Selhurst Park. That's where they played then. Again, a Tuesday night, packed away end. I remember there must have been probably 4,000 Wycombe fans there. That went to penalties. I think Gareth Ainsworth was actually playing, ironically, for Wimbledon that night. That went to penalties, and Martin Taylor was the hero. He saved, I can't remember, I think it might have been Neil Sullivan, their keeper, took one, and he saved his penalty. And then we went through to the quarterfinals, which was probably the best day of my footballing career. We beat Leicester at Filbert Street 2-1 with Roy Essendon scoring a header. Unfortunately, I didn't start that game. I came on as sub. I was on when he scored, and I remember just pulling into the ground in front of the away fans, which was special. And then the semi-final, which personally for me, I didn't play in it. I was sub, which I didn't get on the pitch. I was coming on at one point, and Guy Whittingham come on instead of me. And the main thing I remember from that day was warming up with Steven Gerrard, and it was 0-0 at the time, and Steven Gerrard come on. He was my age, so he would have been, I think, 19 at the time, and he just gave them a huge lift, and the crowd lifted, and they then sort of dominated the game a little, in the second half, and they went 2-0 up, but Rhino managed to get one back, as you all know. So, great times, great run. We rode our luck, definitely a lot of the time, but it was such a great squad, and I was lucky enough to be part of that.
I think it's easy to forget as well, isn't it, as fans, that you're only, as you say, only 19 at the time, and you come up through the youth setup of the club as well. Yeah,
so I joined the club from West Ham. I got released from West Ham, and I moved straight into digs in Wycombe, and I started full time as an apprentice. I think our year was the was the second year they started up the YTS scheme. And yeah, it was great. I really enjoyed it. It was a real great club to be at. A lot of good pros that help young players.
And I think as your position as well, it really helped in making you a real sort of fans' favourite too.
In my position?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of played left side of the midfield or in the middle of a three. Steve Brown was always my position, and he helped me hugely from being a young pro to sort of, he helped me develop my game. The position I like to get forward and create, I took all the set plays, which was important to that Wycombe side. Laurie Sanchez at the time put a lot of emphasis on set plays, and I was part of that, and we had a lot of success.
And some great players and some great characters that were around at that time as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why we done so well that year in the Cup. I mean, there was a lot of players that were still there from the non-league days with Wycombe, like Jason Cousins, Dave Carroll, Keith Ryan, and they were such good characters. It was a real good dressing room. I remember my car school was Jamie Bates, Paul McCarthy, and Danny Bullman, and some of the stories I can tell about that car were they're really funny.
Are there any other sort of games or occasions that really stand out, during your time at the club?
Well, my debut against Chesterfield was at Chesterfield away. That was a big memory of mine. It was under Terry Evans, who was caretaker manager at the time. That was a big day for me. Another one that sticks in my mind was I was sub on the day, but the last minute goal by Paul Emblem at Lincoln away, last game of the season. Team that won basically stayed up in League One, so we sent Lincoln down that day, and he scored in probably the 90th minute, a header, which kept us in League One that year. So that was a big day. And obviously all the cup games were huge, but they were massive. So yeah, a lot of good times.
And so frustrating as well for injury sort of really curtailed your time at the club as well.
Yeah, I was a bit unlucky with injuries. I had 2 consecutive pre-seasons. I had quite bad injuries that set me back. I had a couple of spells on loan, one at Cheltenham, which was good. I managed to get promotion from League 2 under Steve Cottrell. But then came back to Wycombe, and it was a difficult time at the club. The year my contract didn't get renewed, I think there was 10 pros out of contract, and I remember being the last one to be told, and it was like 50-50. And it was a sad day for me because I loved my time there, but it wasn't meant to be. So I was lucky enough to have so many good times in the short amount of time I did have at the club.
And players we speak to speak very highly, obviously, of working under Laurie Sanchez as well. You must have learnt so much from that.
Under Laurie Sanchez, yeah. I mean, and Terry Gibson, they're both great football people. Gibbo was great, especially on the training ground. Terry Evans was really big at the club, then a big character, and he helped me physically try and develop. So yeah, Laurie Sanchez, we got on really well. Yeah, he seemed to like what I did. I did think at the start when he took over whether he'd like me because of my size, and coming from more of a physical team like Wimbledon, I thought he might not like me, but we got on really well, and he was good to play under.
And overall, how do you look back at your time at the club?
Oh, really fondly, yeah. I had a great time. I always look back, and I do wish it was for longer, but the time I did spend, I really enjoyed it. We still talk about it now in group chats, and we were lucky, as I said, to have so many good times and big games. So yeah, I look back at being at Wycombe as a real special time for me.
And really nice that you do keep still in touch with your former teammates as well.
Yeah, I speak to Danny Sender a lot. I pick his brains on coaching sessions, and I'm on a few WhatsApp group chats with Steve Brown and Darren Curry. Who else is on there? Ian St. Pember, Leon Phelan. So, and then I've bumped into Rhino a few times and Dave Carroll. So, I mean, we don't see each other as much as I'd like to, but, everyone's busy. But I think we're trying to arrange something in the next few months, so that'd be nice.
And fans will be really keen to hear what you're doing these days.
So, I have my own tile and stone company in Woking in Surrey. I've been doing that since I fell into non-league football, which is probably about 20 years now, 18 years, something like that. So, it's not as good as being a footballer, but it's good. I've been doing it a long time, and it's fine.
And really nice for you to pass on, your experience to young players at that level as well.
Yeah, I'm back at Kingstonian as a assistant manager, so I'm back coaching. I've been doing it for I've been at Kingstonian for a few months, but I've been back coaching for a number of years now, and I like trying to pass on what I do know to them, and most of them listen. And when I see them doing something that I've done on the training ground, it's great. I get a lot of satisfaction from that.
And I'm sure you enjoy spending time with your family as well.
Yeah, Charlie's with me now. He's 11. He's football mad, and my daughter Bella, she's 14. So I've lost her at the minute because she's off with her friends all the time and doing her own thing. But I'm lucky to have a lovely family as well.
And really nice for you to be able to reflect on the time that you've had, and as you say, it really doesn't feel like 22 years ago.
I know, it's flown by. Yeah, I keep every year it comes up on either a Facebook story or something on my phone, and every year it just. I mean, I can't believe it's been that long now. It does seem like yesterday still.
And it's really nice to speak to different former players and to find out, what's so special about the club, because, there is something that really special that obviously keeps players here, but also, years and years in the future, they still keep coming back.
Yeah, I think it's just a real good family club. I think the moment you walk through I don't know if it's the same entrance now, through that front entrance, it's just very welcoming. It's full of lovely people. People like Alan Hutchinson, I saw a bit on him last week. Great people that really care about the club and make you feel so welcome. So, I was lucky enough to play for Wycombe, and I can see why lots of players often come back and hold the club in such in high regard.
And presumably you still keep an eye out for their results and such a source of pride that you were part of, something which has now got on to, in later years, been in the Championship. Yeah,
I still keep an eye out for the results. I say to my son every week, I look out for my team, West Ham's results, and the next one I'll look for is Wycombe, and I see they're just below the playoffs, I think, at the moment. So we were at the playoff game a few years ago in Southend at Wembley, and when I get to a big game like that, and they've been involved in a lot of big games, I try and get to them. I still definitely look out for the results.
It does seem such a great achievement, doesn't it? I mean, obviously, when you played with Steven Gerrard and against Liverpool, but and that sort of atmosphere, you can remember, as you say, the home games in that cup run as well. But fantastic that they're playing against big sides now, and interest is really growing.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. I think they've got a great core of fans with them that'll always be there. And those big games, and especially when they're in the Championship, it's great. When that stadium's full, it's really noisy and a great atmosphere.
Well, it's been brilliant to speak to you. Thank you so much for your time, and great to chat to you and hear that they're doing well, and really nice to reflect on your memories.
No worries. Thank you.
Martyn Lee there, speaking to us here on Wycombe Sound. He, of course, as he said, on the bench at Villa Park 22 years ago, 8th of April that was, and a fantastic occasion, and as I say, really great to relive his memories. Let's move on to Wycombe Wanderers Women, the first team still playing friendlies, but the reserves and under-18s still in league action. Been speaking to Bella Fulton, who is a midfielder, and as you'll hear, has been playing football for quite a while.
I joined about 3 seasons ago. I think it was the season after COVID. My team at Marlow had all folded, and it was my first season at Marlow as well. So, I was loving it, and then COVID hit, and the whole team folded, apart from me. And I was, searching for a new team, and my friend Maddie, she doesn't play for them anymore, but she was there, and I met her through Fab, which is a football academy, and she was like, "Oh my God, like, come play for Wycombe." There's no way this is real. Like, Wycombe Wanderers. And then I went and I did a trial, and yeah, I've been there ever since.
So what were your first impressions?
I mean, they were a very good team. I remember feeling like almost intimidated to be like joining the team, because this was the under-18s. This wasn't the first team. But like, everyone knew each other, and like, they all had their Wycombe kit on. But it was very good football. It was much better than what I was playing at Marlow.
So have you been into football from an early age, or is it something you've discovered perhaps a bit later in life as a result of, I don't know, maybe watching the England women's team or one of the other women's teams?
I've probably been playing since I was in year 7, like properly playing since I was in year 7. So I think that's about 11. But I never really got into it. Like, as a kid, I didn't get into it until later on, when it kind of became like I was in secondary school and like it was really cool because all the boys did it. And then I think as women's football got bigger, I like started to take it more seriously. That's how like my love for it kind of grew, and was seeing like women's football getting bigger on the TV, and like, you know, like the Euros, the World Cup, things like that. Like, they were so cool.
And have you always played in the same position?
No, actually. Throughout school, I was always a centre mid, like a kind of box-to-box centre mid. But when I was at Marlow, sometimes I got played as like a left back, a left mid. Last season I was playing left mid, and this season I've played as a 10. So I've moved about the pitch quite a bit.
No, definitely. Have you got a favourite, or are you just happy to be playing?
No, my favourite is definitely the 10, because you're kind of like a playmaker, and I love moving the ball around the pitch. So yeah, definitely being in the 10. I think there's a stereotype that all 10s are lazy, and I think I meet that quite well. So
You sound so proud. It is nice, isn't it, to feel you've got that sort of central role as well?
I think you do play a big part, because in terms of getting the ball up the pitch, because you kind of in that gap between, obviously you're between the midfield and the attacking. Like, it's a very big position to play in terms of getting goals, because you're like the through ball. But it's a tiring position as well. So,
so how would you assess the season so far? Because you're playing in the reserves, and you've had a pretty decent season so far.
Yeah, I think like we've been flying. Probably before Christmas, there was a point where we went I can't remember, but there was a certain amount of games that we were just unbeaten, and then I think we lost 2, and then we were back to being unbeaten. Like, we've had, this is probably the best season of football I've had in my whole time playing, because it's been so successful. And obviously everyone playing football just wants to win, like, you want to do well, and this is probably my best, as like me as a player as well, like my best performance that I've had in a season. So yeah, it's been very good.
And just what would you say has been the key to the success?
I think I've never been in a team where I've felt like properly part of the team until this season. I really respect my teammates, and I feel like it goes both ways. And sometimes, depending on the team you're in, especially the age you're at as well, it's really hard to find that. But this season, I've really felt part of my team, and I think that's made me feel more confident. So obviously I've been able to perform better.
And have you got sort of goals that you'd like to achieve sort of personally and also collectively as a team for the rest of the season?
I think, you're testing me now. As a team, I think we want to finish either top or second in the table. And personally, I don't know, I think I'm just happy to be playing football. Like, obviously stats and like goals and assists this season, I'm not big on that. I just love football so much that I think if I can finish this season off and be proud of how I performed throughout, that's kind of enough for me.
Because I guess as well, you get to the point, don't you? You're just pleased to be injury-free and just, as you say, playing your football.
Yeah, definitely. I've not picked up any injuries this season, and that's actually my first season, well, touch wood, that's my first season that I've gone the whole season with nothing. So yeah, it's been good.
That'd be awful, wouldn't it, if you got injured after this? Now,
yeah, I know. That would be just my luck, wouldn't it?
I'm not doing that radio chat again. Look what's happened.
Yeah, I've jinxed it now.
That'd be terrible, wouldn't it, to be the cause. You've done so well. You've won the whole season without getting injured. Next week, I've been injured. The season's finished. Great to chat to Bella and also, of course, backing the Chair Girls. Don't forget to say the under-18s and reserves still in action this season and going pretty well as well. So do get yourself along to Burnham to support them.
Online, on Radio Player and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Final part of the Wycombe Wanderers show still to come this week. We'll hear from Luke.
Hello.
But not yet. Also, we'll catch up with Matt Bloomfield, looking ahead to the trip to Morecambe on Saturday. He'll reflect on the new news as well that Jason McCarthy has signed a new contract keeping him at the club for next season. We'll hear from the defender himself as well. But first, knowing me, knowing Blues...
Aha!
Is this... Can you do that again?
Aha!
Excellent. Is a new fan favourite, and this week we can very excitingly bring you a bit of a preview as to who will feature. We'll let Bex introduce the guest.
Gareth, hello. How are you? Thank you for joining me.
No problem.
It's your turn in the hot seat. How are you feeling?
Nervous.
Nervous?
No, I'm not. I'm all right.
You should be. I'm joking. I think we should just jump straight into it. So we've had some good questions for you.
Yeah.
There was actually, I think you've had the most questions out of everyone so far. So we don't actually have time to fit all of them in, but thank you to everyone that did send questions in. Are you ready?
Yep, ready.
Okay, first question. If you could change your position to any other position, no matter on ability, which one would you pick? And that's from Leo.
I would probably pick centre forward, target man. Yeah, if I was bigger, I'd be a target man. In terms of longevity, it would probably be that, because if you're a target man, you always seem to go on a bit longer.
Lovely. Nice answer. Samantha said, do you have any superstitions or rituals that you do on match day?
I have one where when I'm getting changed, I don't put my top on.
Ever?
Pretty much. If I could play without a top, it'd be fine. But I don't put my top on an hour before we go out. So I have no top on until 1 hour before we go out.
And that's just superstition?
Superstition. I've done it since I was 18.
Oh my God, love that. I used to do this thing. I trained as a dancer.
Right.
And if I had a good dress run and I'd forgotten to take a hairband off my wrist, I had to leave it on for the actual show. just got to be done. Okay, Claire would like to know, how many sit-ups do you do to keep that Greek god bod from becoming a dad bod?
Do you know what? I don't actually do a lot of core.
Right.
I think it's genetics.
Oh.
And so I'm
not the answer we're looking for.
I'm fortunate in that aspect, but also diet. So my diet's fairly good, so I don't do that much core.
They say abs are made in the kitchen, don't they?
There we go.
It is 80% what you eat, only 20% sit-ups. The Wycombe Way would like to know, when you're in your 70s, after every game of lawn bowls, will you still be taking your shirt off?
I'll still be playing, but yeah, 100%. I'll
Football
still be
in
playing
the 70s,
football. Yeah,
still
100%.
taking the shirt off.
I'll still be there.
Wonderful. Spidey's Car Factory said, if Arsenal played before Wycombe on a Saturday, would you make yourself aware of the Arsenal score before you played for Wycombe?
Yeah, I'm guilty of that. I do that all
Really?
the time. All the time.
Have a little peek.
Yeah, if they play at 12:30, I have to know what the score is.
Phil said, you are entering a team triathlon relay. Which of your teammates would you choose and who would do which event?
That's bike, swim, run.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Bike would be Jason McCarthy. Run would be Jason McCarthy.
Just going to do all three?
And swim would be... Well, it wouldn't be me because I'm not great, so definitely not me.
So you're on the team but you're not taking part?
No, I'd be barking orders from the side.
Coach?
Swim would be Gapey. I spoke to Gapey actually the other day and he said he used to swim quite a bit.
There we go then. And now you just need a runner.
Jason's doing both.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll just do both.
Running and swimming. Okay, so there's only two people on the team.
Yeah,
and you're cheerleading from the side.
Yeah.
Good. Andy said, what's your favourite cheese?
Don't like cheese. Don't really like it.
Oh my gosh.
No, don't.
Serious?
No.
Cheese is the
No,
best.
not for me. No. So
Really?
I'll go mozzarella.
Mozzarella,
Yeah,
but what would you have in place of cheese then? What would you say is your... Because a lot of people are obsessed with cheese.
Guilty
pleasure.
Oh my God. Biscuits.
Good. What kind of biscuits though? Like a
I would
cookie
have,
or...
the cookies from Tesco's, the big... Or actually, no, donut time. There we go.
Donut time.
The
Love
big
donut
donuts
time.
with nice fillings.
And they call them funny things as well. Have you seen the one with Paris Pigs on? It's called Notorious P.I.G.
Yep, so
love it.
Don't tell a gaffer that.
Beverly would like to know, if you could have any meal and it wouldn't affect your performance, what would it be?
It would be curry goat, rice and peas.
Very nice.
But I don't eat red meat no more. So
okay.
For the last 3 years, I haven't had it. So
I feel like that's probably going to be an answer to another question that's coming up as well.
Brilliant.
Chris would like to know, Adidas Predator Mania or Nike R9s?
Nike R9s.
Why?
R9's the goat.
Just always.
He's the goat, but yeah, R9. 100%.
Nike R9s, there we go. Craig said, who did you look up to as a player?
So I got into football because of my brother. I used to go and watch him play in non-league. But then as a professional, looking at a professional as an idol, it would be Thierry Henry. And I think I've done a segment on him before.
Amazing. Good choice.
And don't forget, you can hear the full Knowing Me, Knowing Blues
Aha!
on Wycombe Wanderers social media from tomorrow.
Yes, and the Duck and Bear situation this week is an interesting one.
Yes.
That's all I shall say.
Because they're separating into teams now.
They are, yes. I don't want to say anymore. I don't want to ruin it, but yeah.
Some Wycombe Wanderers Foundation news.
I have some foundation news, starting with they're running 4 menopause workshops at Wycombe Library on Thursday evenings, with the first one taking place on the 20th of April. Maybe they'll have this show on.
Oh, could well do.
Yeah, could do. I'll send them a message. Also, we spoke to Mark a couple of weeks ago at the last Warm Hub session. They've released some stats for it. They started in January to spot over 65s in the community through the cost of living crisis. There was 22 sessions in the end, over 120 guests and over 850 meals served. It was a really good idea, and I'm glad it worked so well. And they have said, stay tuned for some cool hubs in the future.
Fantastic that it was extended, and obviously also really brilliant that we were able to do one of our shows from there too.
Great food as well.
Yeah,
Thanks,
absolutely.
Will.
Congratulations to everyone involved there. And also, just a quick recap that we told you a little earlier on, that Jason McCarthy has signed a new contract extension, and he'll be at the club next week, I was going to say. He'll be there too. Next season, and as you can imagine, he's delighted.
I'm delighted. It's been a good 3 years being back. It's been really eventful. Obviously, we've had the just missing out on staying up, just missing out on promotion last year, and we're right in the mix again this year. So I love it here. Look, people know that I've got a great affiliation with Wycombe. It's where I've played the bulk of my career, really, when I look back, and that's how I want it to continue it to be. I really enjoyed it under Gareth and Dobbo, and I'm loving it under the new gaffer. I'm really enjoying it, so I couldn't think of anywhere else really. I'd rather be for the coming future.
And when you sign a new deal or agree a new deal, do you sort of reflect on sort of what you've achieved and sort of how far you've come in those times in those years you have been here?
Yeah, a little bit. Obviously, that of course goes into your decision making as well, and it's hard to take emotion out of it when you're thinking about that. For me, I love it here, and I walked through the doors here when I was 19 to start with, and to think, I'm now 27, I'm still here. Okay, yeah, I've gone away a bit and come back, but it's mad to think that. So it's hard to sort of not to think of it emotionally as well. I want to be here, and I feel invested here, and I want the club to go on and achieve success, to continue to defy the odds really, and I want to be a part of it. So I'm delighted, and I'm really excited for what's to come.
And you've seen so many changes, obviously, in the comparatively short time that you have been here too.
Yeah, lots. I've seen the club go right sort of around the circle really with it, and it's been great to be a part of it really, and seeing the transition. But the main thing about this club and why it's successful, because I guess I have had the privilege of going away and seeing other clubs how they work as well, and then always coming back to here, it's the people. The people at this club is why this club is continuing to bring success year after year. It's full of good people who want the club to achieve success, and the culture here is like nothing I've ever been a part of, and I feel valued here as a person and as a player, and I'm just really grateful, and I'm really privileged to be a part of Wycombe.
And how would you assess your own sort of progression and role in the team as well?
Yeah, it's been good. I've really enjoyed this season and last season. I think it's been whether I've been playing or whether I've been on the bench at times. I've had spells where I've been injured as well, but I think I've played a good chunk of games over the last 3 years. I've been pleased with my game return, and I want to always keep improving. I'm pretty sure if you asked anyone who works with me, I'm always working on my game. I always want to improve my game, always looking for little bits that I can do to make myself a better player. So that won't change. I'm 27, so I feel like I've still got a lot left in me in terms of my improving. I feel like I can, improve to my game the next couple of years, and if I can improve and help the club push on as well, then everyone wins. So yeah, I'm happy with where my game's at, but I want to keep improving.
And obviously where you play as well, you can be so influential in games.
Yeah, so I think that's changed a lot, over the last sort of maybe 10 years. I think the role of a fullback has changed a lot, and there's different ways you can play fullback. So even seeing now with Man City, you're having like the inverted fullbacks, which I'm really interested in. Might need a bit of work on the training pitch though with GMAC maybe for that one, but no, like you said, the role of a fullback has changed, and I think people know anyway, I'm quite an attacking fullback. I like to get forward, I like to create and be involved in the attacks, but the defensive side is so important too, and like I said, if I can have an impact on helping us keep clean sheets or creating the other end, great, but ultimately I just want to see us win and have success.
And it's been comparatively easy to sort of adapt since the new manager's come in.
Do you know what? It has, but it's not just been a continuation thing. The gaffer has brought a lot of his new ways and new views in, which has been actually really refreshing, and the lads have really enjoyed it, and I personally have really enjoyed it as well. And I think, if you ask the fans that, I think they'd even be able to pick up on it. I think the fans are quite knowledgeable here, and they can see that. So, we are playing a different kind of football, though we'd still respect and know our strengths that have been here for the years and have brought us success. So, we've still got that. And Gaffer was a huge part of that anyway when he was here before as a player or a coach. So he's been really good in terms of respecting that, but also bringing his own way and his own style, which has been really refreshing and enjoyable, really. So I'm really enjoying it personally under new management, and I think it's only going to breed success.
And it's a real excitement both in yourself and the rest of the players as to what can be achieved this season.
100%, yeah, exactly. So like he's talking about reflection, I don't really want to reflect too much yet, because we've got a really important 5, hopefully 8 games left, and we're in a very similar position last year. I remember being in this room last year and talking about the potential at the end of the season and stuff, and we were just outside and it was like, were we, weren't we? And it feels similar to last year, but I fully believe that, if we look after ourselves, take it game by game, sounds really cliche, but it's true. You have to be that way. Can't look too far ahead. Morecambe is the game on Saturday. They're going to be a tough opponent. We've got to be good. We've got to be at it. We've got to bring our A game, and then see where we are after their game and just keep ticking them off. But I feel like we can go and achieve still this season. I'm really excited about what the next few weeks are going to bring.
Obviously, Morecambe a team you faced before, but this division seems so much more unpredictable this season.
Yeah, you just learn really from being in the game that you can't. There's no game ever that's really easy. I can't think of many in my career where I've that was a cakewalk, easy game. They're always tough, and each provide their own different challenge. So Morecambe are going to provide a different challenge on the weekend, and it'll be a tough opponent. They're scrapping to try and stay up in the league. I've been there in a relegation fight, and you're doing anything to try and get a win, and the shackles are kind of off really, because the worst looks like it's going to happen, so you might as well give it a go. So they're sort of, you get a sense of freedom, and teams are dangerous. You see Cambridge picking up points at Bolton away, and like, it happens. So Forest Green was a tough game on Monday, and we got to respect Morecambe. They were a tough team, and they got some good players, so it's going to be a tough game, but I'm still confident. If we do what we do, we'll come away with the points that we want.
And sounds obvious, but coming off the back of a win, obviously on Monday, must be ideal going into this game.
Yeah, of course. We want to get a bit of momentum. We want to back up the win as well. It's been a really good week's training so far. Lads are in a good place. He said off the back of the win, so looking to take that into Morecambe.
And something which really stood out, the manager speaking after the game on Monday, saying about the intensity that you had as a team, and that's something you'll be looking to maintain.
Yeah, 100%. I think each game provides different approach, not necessarily the same approach each game, but I really liked how we went and pressed them on Saturday, and that intensity is something that is part of our game, part of our identity, and we don't want to be an easy game for anyone. We're notoriously known for that in this league. If people come up against Wycombe, they're going to be in for a tough game, and we're not just going to roll over, so definitely looking to bring the legs and the intensity into the game on Saturday. But like I said, there's been a good week's training. We're feeling good, we're feeling confident, and we're excited about the next month. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Pleasure to catch up with Jason McCarthy a little earlier on, and a reminder that if you're listening to the podcast version of the show, you'll get an extended version of our chat with him. Although if you are listening to the podcast version of the show, you won't hear me saying that. But it'll just fit together really nicely, and you'll be very impressed.
Fingers crossed.
I'll leave a gap so it's easier for the editor.
Thanks.
Final part of our show, of course, as usual, dedicated to the chat with the manager that we had at the training ground a little earlier on today. He starts by talking about Jason McCarthy signing his new contract.
It was really important piece of business for us to get done. I think Jace is a great guy, credible guy. I love his passion, his determination, a proper family man. I love what he stands for and who he is. I think he's been a big player for this football club over a couple of spells now, so I'm really pleased. Fair play to Jace. He was really keen on getting the deal done from his side as well, so all sides are happy. And
pleasing for yourself as well to hear that he was saying that under you his game's had a real lease of life as well. It must be great to be in a position to do that.
Yeah, I think that Jace is he's a big player for us. I think that he's got a real good intensity about his game. He gets forward from right back. I think that his personality imprints on others around him. He's a really inspirational kind of character, and I feel like he's got a lot to give, so I'm really pleased that he's enjoying his football. I think that there's still more to come, improvement. I think Jace can keep getting better over the next few years. He's one of the few PKH players we've got in the club, and I think it's really important that he keeps improving, striving for success, and that's the kind of person we want in the building.
And really exciting as well with sort of younger players, Christy doing so well, and Chris Farino as well.
Yeah, I think Chris was a really important day on Monday for Chris. I was really proud of him on Monday. The way he bounced back from Friday was a tough day for us all, obviously. And for Chris to have that mental toughness and resilience to perform the way he did, I was really proud of him, and I told him that. It wasn't an easy situation to bounce back from only 3 days later, and I thought he was fantastic. Christy, he's only a young lad, but we've loved working with him since we've been back for a couple of months. We've got quite high hopes for him, and small steps for him, slowly but surely, but it's been nice to be able to get him on the pitch a couple of times to improve that experience and get that thirst and that hunger for improvement from him.
And great for fans and yourself and the team, obviously, to be having players like Dominic Gate back too.
Yeah, most certainly so. Yeah, I think Dominic's missed a huge chunk of football over the last couple of years, and he's desperate to get himself fit and going again. So it's been great to have him back. Obviously, Gareth missed the last couple of weeks, and we got Gareth back out on the pitch on Monday as well. So I felt that was a good day, and it ticked a lot of boxes for us.
And something you said after Monday's game about the intensity, is that something you've been working on to sort of get into the players for the remaining 5 games?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's something that we've kind of been as a football club, isn't it, over a number of years now, that intensity in our play. Obviously, it's not easy to bring every game, because certain games have different kind of challenges in front of them, and it's not always easy to play with that same intensity, but it's something we believe in, it's something we want to be, it's how we want to be as a group, both on and off the pitch, in terms of our workload and our work ethic, that intensity to everything we do, and if you do that often enough, you hope that it comes out in your performances on a Saturday.
And does it feel like your own experience and the players that are in the team at the moment will really help when what's to come for the remainder of the season?
Yeah, I think it's about keeping calm, isn't it? It's really exciting times, and there's going to be lots of twists and turns. There's going to be lots of outside noise about whether you are going to do it, whether you aren't going to do it, but for us, it's about staying calm and just approaching every game in its infancy and being the best you can possibly be. I'm a massive believer in that, and advocate for being the best you can be every moment. If you make those moments add up, then hopefully the big moments go in your favour.
And does it affect your preparation for games that you're playing a team, so far down the bottom of the table in comparison, and playing against a team for so different reasons?
No, I don't think it does, because you respect everyone you play against. I think you respect every team for their strengths, and I think you respect the fact that every club, every position, every league, every manager can be in the position where they're either trying to strive for promotion, for playoffs, or fighting against relegation. I've experienced all those different experiences in this one season, so I certainly know that you have to be very respectful of that, and we have to approach the game with the respect it deserves, but we also have to have a big belief and confidence in ourselves and go and perform the best we possibly can.
Matt Bloomfield speaking ahead of the trip to Morecambe. If you're not going, it's a long way. Phil will be bringing you match commentary accompanied by
Pete Couhig. No. We've had this conversation on there. Sorry.
Ron Couhig.
Ron Couhig with
Kevin
Couhig. Thank you. I wasn't aware you were coming to me, sorry.
Some more surprises from Luke next week. You can hear that on 106.6 FM and on Wanderers TV, of course. And, of course, Cambridge as well on Tuesday. We'll be back at the same time next week. Have a great week till then.